Well, public reaction to tonight's debate is mixed. According to our poll on WCCO.com, 64% of viewers believe that Hillary Clinton won the debate. 36% said it was Donald Trump. And Nina Moini joins us now from the Minnesota History Center, where WCCO Radio sponsored a debate viewing party. Nina, quite a range of reactions tonight.
Oh, definitely. A lot of people are just starting to file out. We watched with about 200 people inside of that auditorium tonight, and there were a lot of laughs, cheers, clapping, also a lot of cringing, a lot of groans, as I'm sure were going on in living rooms all across America. And what we had was a group of people, a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of Clinton supporters, and also still a lot of undecided supporters. Take a look. A lot of them telling us they wanted that substantive debate tonight. They didn't want to see a lot of the negativity and the jabs, but nobody seemed really surprised when that started to happen. Also tonight on a panel with WCCO Radio, the DFL chair here in Minnesota, Ken Martin, Chris Fields of the Minnesota GOP were also here. Just want to tell you some of their first reactions. The DFL chair saying that Hillary Clinton had the patience of any woman who's ever been told what to do by a man who doesn't know what he's talking about. And Chris Fields sparring back, saying that Donald Trump clearly won tonight by exciting people and letting them know that he was not going to be a status quo candidate like Hillary Clinton would be. But I want you to listen to what some supporters from both sides had to say tonight as well.
I think she went, stuck with facts. She explained what she planned to do. And versus Donald Trump, I think he throws a lot of things out. He's a very good comedian to me.
I really think that with Donald Trump, where he scored the best was probably about an hour into the debate, when he seemed to settle in, when he was talking about the African American community and the problems there, and he'd shown a lot of empathy.
So there you have that. No surprise there that people who came into it, who were already decided, tended to view the debate through, the way that they really did want to see it. But it was interesting talking with the undecided voters here tonight. There was probably only about 10 or 15 of them, and there is a lot of debate about how much they're really going to have an impact at this point on the election. But I want you to listen to what they had to say, because a lot of them had genuine concern in their eyes. They weren't doing a lot of the laughing and cheering.
I just feel like we're not the only ones watching this. I think there's a global community watching this. And when it comes to having relations, foreign relations, that is important. And if we are finding some of the things that are being said humorous, I worry about what other people in other countries are thinking.
A lot of those undecided voters told me they thought maybe they were leaning a certain way after this, but there's still room for them to change their minds in the next coming debates, the two more presidential and, of course, the vice presidential one. Actually, a lot of them telling me they might have to look in a little bit deeper to the vice presidential candidates, because they are time and time again not very impressed by what they're seeing from the two candidates for president going on here. So it'll be interesting to see if any minds are really changed after this debate. But I don't think I met anybody tonight, Frank and Amelia, whose minds were changed by this.